Every creature on this list was called a myth. This.
Oh my god.
This one too. And let's not forget one of the most popular ones.
It's right there.
All of these cameras caught creatures that aren't supposed to exist. Tonight, the evidence speaks for itself. A follower sent in this footage, and it stopped the whole team cold. Perched among the trees, wings fully spread, was something that looked exactly like a dragon. Broad, leathery wings stretched wide on both sides of a thick, scaled body. The tail extended long behind it. The head had horns or spikes coming out of it. It wasn't moving through the sky. It was perched, completely still, the way a large predatory bird holds position before it decides what to do next. One person who commented claimed they had visited the location and identified it as an animatronic. I have reviewed the footage frame by frame, and there's no denying the creature in the video is real. Dogman. At sunset, somewhere in an open field, a camera caught a dark figure moving across the horizon. It was walking on two legs, covered in what looked like dark fur, and it was big. Bears don't move like that on two legs with that kind of stride. Not a man in a suit. The proportions don't work. The Dogman is one of North America's most reported cryptids, described consistently as a wolf-headed creature with a human build that walks upright. Sightings are usually around Michigan and the Midwest. Have you ever spotted one? Let me know in the comments. Mermaids of Greece. A family out on the Greek islands had their camera pointed at the water when they noticed something moving through the surf that didn't belong there. Not one, but several of them, cutting through the waves the way dolphins do, breaking the surface, and going back under in smooth, arching movements. When the footage is watched closely, the upper bodies were humanoid, long dark hair, and at their elbows were fins. Their lower bodies had fishtails. Greece is where mermaid mythology was born. The sirens, the nereids, sea creatures with women's faces that sailors wrote home about for thousands of years. Terrifying goat creature. Footage finally revealed the mysterious goatman that people only heard stories about. It was caught lurking near a mine that once used to be a cave. Goatman stood near the edge watching the miners below, probably because they had just ruined its resting place. It appeared briefly with glowing eyes before disappearing in the night. Now it's hard to tell if this was real or not, but there is quite a lot of evidence of Goatman being real. Unicorn spotted? Someone just recovered this video from an old tape, and it shows an actual white unicorn. Since this was recorded in the Western Cascades in Washington, hunters immediately went there to look for it. Although they couldn't find the animal, they managed to dig up these remains. It looked like the top of a head with a really long and sharp horn. It clearly belonged to a unicorn. They took these remains to research institutions for further analysis, but there are no updates. Centaur encounter. Some friends lost their way after wandering too deep into Redwood National Forest in California, and it led them to the most shocking discovery. After hearing hoof sounds, they thought it was someone on a horseback and could help them find a way out. But the creatures that stepped out were far from normal. They had horse-like legs, but humanoid upper bodies and long hair. These were centaurs. Since these creatures can be dangerous, the friends stayed hidden and waited until they were gone. Captured dragon. After the military sealed off an area in the Angeles National Forest, California, one man's curiosity got the better of him, so he snuck in to see what they were hiding. In the distance, he saw many armed soldiers surrounding a massive white creature. It had huge wings, an enormous body, and a snout with sharp spikes running all the way down its back. He realized they had captured a dragon. The dragon moved its wings weakly, which meant the soldiers had likely sedated it somehow. Before they could notice him, he quickly left to avoid getting in trouble. Rooster abomination. On the Winton Farm in Queensland, Australia, a terrifying bird suddenly appeared on this man's property. He had plenty of roosters and chickens in his barn, but this was not one of his animals. It looked like an abomination. It had warped, rooster-like features, and its strange, eerie behavior matched its grotesque appearance. As he was recording it, the creature suddenly shrieked and ran past him, and vanished into the fields.
Oh, hell no! Get back!
Lobezno spotted. This clip comes out of Latin America, and the title the original uploader gave it says everything. Lobezno, hombre lobo o dogman, wolverine, werewolf, or dogman. Even the person who filmed it couldn't land on what they were looking at. The figure stands fully upright on two legs, dark fur covering a muscular, broad-shouldered frame. Its head moves slowly, scanning the area around it. Latin America has its own long history with this kind of sighting. The Nahual, a shape-shifting wolf figure, has been described in indigenous, Mexican, and Central American tradition for centuries, long before the word cryptid ever existed. Winged humanoid.
Mira. ¿Ves eso?
Riding down the North Yungas Road in Bolivia is a real adventure, but one man spotted something far more terrifying. He noticed a strange humanoid creature along the narrow cliff road. Its legs were bent at odd angles and had massive feathery wings. The creature's limbs ended in sharp talons, making it look like a predator. To his horror, the creature's head slowly turned to look at him, but the man was lucky it didn't do anything dangerous, because on a road like this, there would be nowhere to escape.
Tiene alas. Joder.
Mutant canine. Now what on earth is that? The video shows a bizarre, pale creature that looks like some kind of mutated canine. Strong muscles rippled under its skin as it thrashed wildly around the lab. Then it opened its jaws wide, revealing rows of sharp teeth, and let out a terrifying roar. The video doesn't show where it was kept, or what it really is, but if any of you know, let me know in the comments. Unknown monster. A dark, humped mass emerged from the open ocean. The person filming kept the camera on it and said nothing. There was nothing to say! It stayed visible long enough to rule out imagination, then dropped back under. The coastline in the footage matched the Pacific Northwest, and in 1977, a Japanese fishing vessel named the Zuio Maru hauled up a carcass off the coast of New Zealand that measured 10 meters long, weighed nearly 2,000 pounds, and matched nothing in any biological catalog. New species surfaced from those depths of the Pacific every few years, each one stranger than the last. Horned creature. A hiker's camera caught this creature standing upright on a dirt trail, and the first thing that registered was the horns, large, curved, and heavy. A fur-covered body that stood at full human height, arms hanging at its sides. Seconds later, it dropped to all fours, and that is where it got stranger. The movement didn't look like an animal returning to its natural stance. It looked like a person attempting to move on all fours. There are two ways to look at this footage. The first is that someone built an extraordinarily detailed costume. The second is that the footage itself was fabricated, and one small detail points directly at that. The moment it began moving, a branch phased straight through its body. You decide. Hybrid wolf.
Dude, look at those.
Easy, stay right there.
While going to Pisgah Forest in North Carolina, these people saw the most unbelievable creature on Max Patch Road. Despite having the body of a massive wolf, it had giant leathery bat-like wings on its back. The men moved closer to record it, and instead of pouncing, the hybrid creature flew away. They tried to track it down again, but couldn't do so, which meant it had flown far, far away.
Hey, no, stay back. Stay back. We're just blocking the road, all right? You're okay.
Louisiana Rougarou.
Oh my God. He's looking right at me.
Deep in a Louisiana bayou, in the middle of the night, a trail camera caught something crouched at the water's edge, between the cypress trees. Dark fur, a canine-shaped head, a body that sat low and heavy in the wet grass at the bank. It rose fully upright and moved back into the tree line on 2 legs. The rougarou is Louisiana's own werewolf, a lycanthropic creature embedded in Cajun folklore for generations, said to haunt the swamps and bayous exactly like this one. What's making people skeptical isn't the footage itself, it's the running. The rougarou was never described as something that runs away. Every account has it as the thing doing the hunting. The manticore. Captured on grainy footage somewhere in the Rocky Mountains at 4:19 in the morning, what moved across the rocky hillside looked like a lion, but had a pair of large dark wings folded flat against its back. The manticore has roots in Persian mythology, described for centuries as a lion-bodied creature with extraordinary features. The footage seems to be actually of a cougar or bobcat in the Rocky Mountain, with editing done on it. Kappa caught. Japanese folklore has described the kappa for centuries, a river-dwelling creature, green-skinned and built like a man with a turtle's shell on its back. In this found footage clip, something matching that exact description is standing at the edge of a shallow waterway in what looks like rural Japan. It turns and walks into the water and disappears beneath the surface. The kappa was said to lure people in by looking harmless, like a turtle, but whoever filmed it kept their distance. That was probably the right call. White dragon. Zhangjiajie in China is already the kind of place that looks like it came out of a myth. Tourists filming there caught something moving through that mist that made the setting feel less like a coincidence. A pale, elongated shape cutting through the gray sky. Big, white, and gone before anyone could fully track it. Chinese dragon mythology was never built around fire-breathing Western monsters. The Chinese dragon is a sky creature, white or gold, associated with clouds and rain, said to inhabit exactly this kind of landscape. Cave griffin. When a man visited Wasatch Cache National Forest in Utah for its landscapes, spotting a griffin wasn't on his list. The massive creature in the distance had huge wings, an eagle's face, and a lion's body. It looked powerful as it walked slowly with its wings flared. As he kept recording, the creature slowly turned toward him like it had sensed his presence, but the man stayed hidden. Later, he quietly tracked it to a nearby cave, which seemed to be its home. After that, he made sure to stay far away from those caves. Trail camera footage. A trail camera set deep in the forests of Olympic National Park, Washington, captured something that has left researchers and cryptid hunters completely divided. At first, the footage looks like any other wildlife recording, but what fills the frame is enormous. The face alone takes up the entire camera view, covered in thick, matted dark fur with a snout that looks similar to a wolf. However, it's the facial features that gave viewers that uncanny feeling. It had smelled the camera, and the expression it gave was unlike any bear, wolf, or known predator produces. It growled and then walked away. The footage was run through multiple AI detection tools and came back clean every time. Winged giant. A passenger during a flight pulled out their phone to record this massive, dark creature flying right next to the plane. 2 broad, leathery wings, beating with slow, heavy strokes. A body thick enough to cast a real shadow against the sky. No feathers, no tail fan, nothing that matches any living species in any ornithology record on Earth. Around the same period, someone on a freeway filmed something enormous crossing the sky above the highway, then again over a city. One theory that circulated was that this was an art installation, a mechanical or sculptural piece built to look like a creature. Real in form, but not in life. It's a reasonable theory. What do you think? Coastal phantom. Off the rugged cliffs of Pembrokeshire, Wales, tourists filming the waves captured something that had no explanation. A white horse stands in the crashing surf near the cliff face, and it has wings. Before the tourists can fully register what they're looking at, a dark figure is already moving through the foam toward it, giving chase. The horse turns, opens its wings fully, and lifts out of the water. In Welsh and Scottish coastal mythology, the Cephaldwr and the Ichwish have been described for over 1,000 years, water horses that emerge from the sea. So is that what we just saw? Dragon bones. Villagers in rural China gathered around something stretched across the ground that measured 60 feet from skull to tail. The skeleton had a long serpentine spine, a skull fitted with antler-like horns, and ribs extending down the full length of the body in a formation that matched every classical depiction of a Chinese long dragon almost exactly. Word spread fast, and the crowd that assembled treated it exactly as the find it appeared to be. Closer inspection revealed the skeleton had been assembled, bones from multiple animals pieced together and arranged deliberately to create the shape. The skull appeared to come from a large ungulate, the spine and ribs pulled from different carcasses and laid out with enough anatomical logic to hold up at a distance. What's interesting is that even knowing that, the construction is remarkably convincing. Mothman sighting. A video captured at night showed a dark winged figure moving through a clouded sky, and the detail that ended any bird or drone explanation was the eyes, 2 points of light glowing from the center of the shape. The body was humanoid, no visible arms, just wings extending from a torso and a tail trailing behind it as it crossed the frame. The Mothman first appeared in Point Pleasant, West Virginia in November 1966, when two couples driving near an abandoned munitions plant reported a gray humanoid figure standing 6 to 8 feet tall with enormous wings and glowing red eyes that followed their car as they fled. Then, on 15th December 1967, the Silver Bridge connecting Point Pleasant to Ohio collapsed during rush hour. The sighting stopped almost immediately after. Forest griffin. Multiple trail cameras set along a forest ravine in the Appalachian Mountains captured the same creature on the same night. In the night vision footage, something large crouched at the water's edge and drank, and the body it carried belonged to nothing in any North American wildlife registry. The front half was distinctly avian. Dense feathers covered the shoulders and upper body, and the head carried the hooked structure of a large bird of prey. The rear half was furred and four-legged, built along the lines of a big cat. The combination shouldn't be anatomically possible. For a creature regarded purely as myth, it had a remarkably consistent physical description across cultures that never made contact with each other. Tiny tree humanoid.
Here's the spot. Nah, come back out. Look.
During a social media live, people watching pointed out that they saw something moving inside of the tree. The person did not believe them, but if you look closely, as the camera pans towards the hole, some movement is seen within. As the camera zoomed in, a tiny tree humanoid was caught peeking out of the tree. It looked like this humanoid was stalking or intrigued by the person recording it. The humanoid was hardly taller than a foot and merged well with the background before disappearing inside the hole.
Why you be peeking like that?
Hatching experiment. In a research facility in Japan, a camera recorded the moment something broke through the shell of an iridescent, scaled egg. The head that pushed through the crack was feathered and sharp-beaked, with the eyes of a bird of prey, but the egg it hatched from carried the texture of reptile scales, pearlescent and geometric in a way no known bird egg has ever presented. This was not a natural hatch. Scientists working on genetic mutation research had been pursuing the theoretical possibility of splicing avian and reptilian DNA at the embryonic stage, essentially attempting to reverse engineer the evolutionary split between birds and their dinosaur ancestors. Shocking barn footage. A farm security camera recorded something scaling a fence inside a barn in the early hours of this morning. The creature cleared the fence with no effort, but the German Shepherd already on the other side held its ground, and that stopped it. German Shepherds are trained protection animals capable of confronting bears and mountain lions without retreating. It turned and hit the barn door on the way out hard enough to nearly break it off the frame. By the time the second guard dog reached the entrance, the creature had already cleared the property and disappeared into the surrounding farmland. Muddy Pikachu. Somewhere along a flooded rural road, a cameraman spotted something yellow struggling through the mud and stopped to film it. The animal was bright yellow with black-tipped ears, a stocky low body, and markings distributed across its coat in a pattern didn't look like a natural pigmentation. The cameraman eventually picked it up and took it with them. The internet's immediate reaction was Pikachu, and the resemblance is genuinely difficult to argue with. But the actual animal here is almost certainly a golden brushtail possum, one of the rarest natural color variations in the marsupial world. Nessie surfaces. A dark shape broke the surface of the water and arched back under in a single smooth motion, the way a fish breaches, but on a scale that no fish in that loch has any right to be. The neck was long, the body massive, and the movement fluid enough to suggest something completely at home in the water doing exactly what it always does, indifferent to whoever was watching from the shore. The Loch Ness Monster has been reported since 565 AD, when St. Columba allegedly encountered a beast in the River Ness and commanded it to retreat. Petrolina's Beast. A couple driving through Petrolina in the state of Pernambuco, northeast Brazil, hit something on the road they could not identify. They stopped, got out, and filmed what was lying on the ground in front of their vehicle. The creature was covered in dark fur, compact but powerfully built, with a facial structure that belonged to nothing in any Brazilian wildlife catalog. The snout was too short for a dog, the jaw too wide, the teeth visible even in death arranged in a way that suggested something built for more than just scavenging. The man filming described it plainly, a legendary beast that doesn't exist. Canadian encounter. A group of Japanese tourists hiking through a forested area in Canada filmed something large and dark moving through the tree line, snapping branches as it went. Then it moved away, deeper into the trees, and was gone. More than a dozen people witnessed it in real time. That rules out the kind of individual misidentification that dismisses most single witness footage. Bigfoot, across every serious account and study dedicated to it, is described as deeply reclusive, which is what makes the hermit or wilderness nomad explanation worth considering. Canada has vast stretches of forested land with no permanent settlements, and there are documented cases of individuals living entirely off-grid in those forests for years.
Sasquatch.
Wolf or not? In 2017, people driving to Canaan Valley in West Virginia saw this dark creature moving across the meadow. It looked like a wolf, but its behavior was far too strange. It kept galloping around like a horse. After reaching their destination, they saw the same creature among the woods, but this time it was walking like a human. Wolves have disappeared from the wild in West Virginia long ago, and they don't behave like this. So what do you think this creature was? Comment below. Three-headed beast. A man exploring tea caves in Oman had been moving carefully when loud howling sounds echoed through one of the cave entrances. He began recording to see what kind of beast was hiding inside, and what stepped out of the darkness was an abomination. It had the lower body of a massive dog, but instead of one head, it had three. The sight was so overwhelming and terrifying that he backed away slowly and left immediately, not wanting to draw the monster's attention. Shocking Pegasus. In Grand Teton National Park, Wyoming, some tourists had been recording the beautiful surroundings, but that came with a mythical view. Right below them, there were two horse-like animals, but one of them had wings. It was an actual Pegasus. The Pegasus looked like the horse's mate from the way they were moving, and after a few seconds, it flew into the air before coming back down. The tourists waited to see more, but no other mythical creatures appeared, and they left with this shocking footage.
Los están montando.
Kappa encounter.
It's right there.
On the 20th of July, 2023, a man went to a Cranesville swamp, Maryland, and sensed a strong, fishy scent. After following it, he ended up seeing a real river spirit. It was a kappa, which is a scary entity from Japanese folklore. It had green humanoid limbs and a head, along with a turtle shell. He stayed away since these creatures can be really dangerous, but it still noticed him. It dove into the water, and the man walked away as far as he could.
Oh, it saw me.
Goblin sighting. A Reddit user posted this video earlier this year, and it shows a goblin walking in the distance. Its skin almost matched the surroundings, but its quick movements revealed it. After the goblin vanished into the thick undergrowth, the cameraman tracked it to get a better view. It was small, with thin limbs, and appeared to be carrying something on its back. The exact location and time of this sighting are not known, which makes this sighting even more mysterious. Griffins breeding. Here's a sight that none of us ever expected to see. The people who uploaded this video shared almost no other details or explanation with it. In a wide field, two unbelievable winged creatures can be seen playing together. They had sharp beaks like eagles, but their lower bodies looked exactly like lions. These were clearly griffins. They did not look fully grown, almost like juvenile griffins. Finding even one mythical creature would be impossible, but finding two of them raises too many questions. It's not clear if the people in the video created this breed through secret hybrid techniques or captured them from a remote land. What do you think? Mythical barn visitor. One morning, when a man from a village in Australia walked into his barn to check on his livestock, he found this unexpected creature inside. It looked like a griffin with huge folded wings, a sharp hooked beak, and powerful paws like a lion. He had no idea when it arrived or how it got inside the barn. He began recording because he never believed such a mythical winged beast could exist in real life. Terrified of the talons and that beak, he slowly stepped back outside. He waited at a distance until the creature finally left the barn on its own and disappeared. Gargoyle on roof. This is not something you see every day. In the village of San Juan Teotihuacan in Mexico, a man found a strange winged creature on the roof of his home. It was pale with huge wings. Its head had a bizarre shape and a sharp, curved tail behind it. As the man began recording, the creature suddenly flew right above him, revealing a humanoid body that looked just like a gargoyle. The gargoyle kept flying higher and higher until it disappeared into the sky. After he warned other villagers about this, they set up traps in case the creature returned. Creepy goblins.
Little monsters. Jesus, they're real. Look at those ears. Ribs sticking out. Oh man, they don't even notice me.
On the 15th of August, 2021, a vlogger who regularly uploads his hiking journeys online shared one of the most unbelievable moments of his life. It happened in the Joshua Tree National Park in California. While moving through the woods, he noticed two strange pale figures. They were small and slender with long limbs and big ears. As he kept filming, he realized they looked exactly like goblins. The two creatures circled each other. Turns out, they were sizing each other up as rivals. Suddenly they ran off into the forest. It seemed like they had heard something that even made them forget their rivalry. The man didn't follow them because he was too freaked out. Dragon on tower. What this man spotted one evening will leave you stunned. Filmed in Dallas, Texas in 2018, the footage shows a massive dragon perched on top of a radio tower. Even from a distance, its size was unmistakable. Then, it stretched its massive wings and took off. The cameraman captured it clearly, though it's not certain if others on the busy street below noticed the dragon or not. Apart from the location or year, there's no other information available about this. And now, let's move on to our open discussion of the day. Footage emerged claiming to show a massive dragon over the Liao River Valley in China. That scale is exactly the problem. Something that size crossing populated farmland in broad daylight over one of China's most historically significant river regions would have generated immediate, widespread, and unavoidable news coverage. Hundreds of witnesses, government response, military involvement. The irony is that if any country on Earth would take a dragon sighting seriously, it is China. The Long has been central to Chinese identity and imperial authority for over 4,000 years. On the 5th of October, 2022, a forest ranger in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, was patrolling when he saw a pale, tall humanoid across a clearing. It was nearly 9 feet tall. Its limbs were so long that its hands nearly reached its feet, and its head was unusually small. He was relieved when it went back into the woods instead of crossing the clearing. But the next day, a similar humanoid appeared in the same spot. It looked just as bizarre. Now he fears what else might be living in those woods. Creepy mutation. The Skinwalker Ranch in Utah is known for its unexplained events, and it didn't get its reputation for nothing. Just 1 mile northwest of the ranch, in Ballard, a man saw a strange creature in the field. Its limbs ended in sharp claws. The creature was so slender that its ribs were visible through its pale, furless skin.
Oh my God.
It neither looked like cattle nor a stray animal. It looked like some strange, mutated creature. The man left the area after seeing it. What do you think it was?
Oh my God.
Strange humanoid. 2 brothers had gone to Pennyroyal Plateau, Kentucky for their peace of mind, but what they saw ruined it for them. There was a strange humanoid creature in the pond. It had unnatural light gray skin and didn't look like any known creature. It seemed to be filling up a bucket with water. As it was about to drink it, the humanoid noticed the brothers spying on it.
No te muevas. Vamos ya.
It immediately began to run out of there, but since the video ended there, we don't know if it was running to hide or to target them. Winged surprise? While a group of friends was camping in Mount Rainier National Park, Washington, they heard a strange, loud sound in the distance and saw the silhouette of a winged creature. They began trying to track it down and found it the next day in the woods. Turns out, it was a Pegasus. The creature had a white body and wings, and it was wandering peacefully. They couldn't find any other species like it and thought it was one of a kind. In the end, they decided not to disturb it. Creepy stalker. In 2024, one man found this terrifying creature in the woods near his backyard. It had glowing eyes, gray skin, and a devilish face. After seeing him, it had run away. When he uploaded the footage, viewers wanted more proof, so he went back into the woods and found it. Its eyes were locked onto him. It was slowly stalking closer, its slender gray limbs making no sound.
Oh God. So look at me. Back up. Just back up.
The man realized this decision was about to cost him everything, but luckily, the creature didn't pounce, and he was able to escape. Gray creature. On the 8th of February this year, a speleologist was exploring Pinnacles National Park, California. That's when he saw the creepiest creature entering the Bear Gulch cave system. It had light gray skin that perfectly blended with the rocks. It was small, with oddly humanoid limbs. It quickly crawled into the cave and vanished so fast that he couldn't capture it.
Keep fighting. Keep fighting.
Now he'll be exploring those caves further to see what else lives there. Centaur tribe. Who knew a scenic moment could be so mythical? 3 years ago, in a valley in Yosemite National Park, a woman spotted multiple figures moving below. Some were horses, while others looked like strange hybrids. The hybrids were half human and half horse, just like centaurs. Their movements looked natural and effortless, which meant these weren't people in costumes. Turns out, she had accidentally discovered an entire clan of centaurs. Since she didn't want to draw their attention, she left immediately after recording them. Roaring creature. Last year, this man was recording himself while walking down a trail in Yosemite National Park, but the camera captured something else too. I need you to look behind him. There was a huge creature on the mountain. It had pale skin, powerful broad shoulders, and an unusually small head. Its roars were echoing through the mountains.
What the is that?
But for some reason, the man was completely calm. Maybe because he thought the roars belonged to an animal somewhere far away. Terrifying chase. This has to be the most terrifying drone footage ever. A content creator recorded this when he flew his drone over the road near Hocking Hills State Park in Ohio. A huge humanoid figure was chasing a scared person. It was closing in fast, but the humanoid paused for a brief moment, almost like it was giving its prey false hope of safety. But there was no way to outrun it. The content creator thought it was Bigfoot and didn't record how the chase ended. Uncontacted tribe? In August last year, an athlete climbed Mount Charleston, Nevada for high-altitude training. That's when he saw a strange sight in the distance. There was a group of people in front of a dark, four-legged beast. The beast had a wolf-like form, but no known wolf is supposed to grow that huge. Despite its terrifying appearance, the creature was acting unusually tame. That's when he realized this might be an uncontacted group that had trained this mysterious beast. Winged horse. The view from the mountains in Angeles National Forest, California, is a sight to behold. And last month, a man saw more than that. Just a few feet away, he saw a white, horse-like creature with huge wings. He couldn't believe he was seeing an actual Pegasus, which is only believed to exist in stories.
Mira ya, hermano, mira. Ese caballo, tío, tiene alas.
As he was recording, the Pegasus flared its wings and flew away, and he wasn't able to find it again. Cave werewolf. Custer State Park, South Dakota is an amazing spot for hiking with trails and scenic views, but one man went too far, which led him to an uncharted spot. He found a cave, and a humanoid beast walked out of it. With its wolf-like face, dark fur, and humanoid form, it looked just like a werewolf. The sight scared him so much that he didn't stay there a second longer and fled. When he told the tourist guides, they claimed there were no known caves or werewolves there. Spider-like creature. In one of our previous videos, the username Jeffrey Jamerson requested to see enormous spiders. So that's next. In Cueva del Guacharo National Park, Venezuela, an explorer discovered a cave deep in an uncharted section and saw this inside. It had dark, fleshy limbs spreading in all directions like a spider's legs. It also gave off a strong, foul stench. The creature remained completely motionless, and he used the opportunity to leave quietly. What else do you guys want to see in the next video? Comment below. Open discussion. On the 9th of July, 2024, a tourist was exploring the Kanha National Park in Madhya Pradesh, India. He began hearing roars from and followed the sounds, which led him to this shocking sight. A tiger was locked in combat with a hybrid creature that was half man, half horse, like a centaur.
Oh my God.
The tiger was unable to overpower the centaur, which had only its size and a stick for defense. A tiger's bite force is over 1,000 pounds per square inch, which is nearly double that of a lion's. But that didn't scare the centaur. Since the tourist didn't want them to pick up on his scent, he left. Humanoid bull. When a wildlife researcher was in the Rocky Mountains in Colorado to study wildlife, he came across a mysterious cave system, and what walked out of it shocked him. It was a 10-foot-tall, terrifying humanoid version of a bull, holding prey. The man camped nearby to observe the creature, and every day it would appear after the crack of dawn with a cloth covering its lower body. Each time, it would go out to catch prey and spend the rest of the day in the cave. It seemed to be a solitary creature, and he decided not to disturb it. Devil's Cave. In 2015, some adventurers went to the Devil's Cave in Mazatlan, Mexico for its interesting history. It had been used for storage during the Mexican Revolution, but during exploration, they found another entrance to the cave, along with a devilish horned creature. It was 9 feet tall, with a body so dark that no light reflected off it. As it was entering the cave, they realized that part of the cave must have been this creature's home, and the cave didn't earn its name for nothing. The group didn't dare enter it again. Winged horse. One morning last year, a farmer in Bardstown, Kentucky found the most unbelievable creature in one of his pens. It was a white horse with huge wings, just like a Pegasus. Seeing a real winged horse was shocking enough, but he couldn't understand where it had come from. He fed it and cared for it for an entire day, and by the next day, it was gone just as mysteriously as it had appeared. Shocking winged creature. When a man visited Wasatch Cache National Forest, Utah, for its landscapes, spotting a mythical creature wasn't on his list. The massive winged creature was slowly making its way through the swamp. It had an eagle-like beak and 4 powerful limbs like a feline, just like a griffin. He didn't dare draw its attention, because griffins are believed to be extremely dangerous, with a combined strength of a lion and an eagle. So, he quietly watched the predator disappear into the woods. Strange humanoid. On the 2nd of December, 2013, a man vacationing in the Mount Hood National Forest, Oregon, captured the most terrifying sight. He saw movement in the woods and began recording, thinking he was about to capture a wild animal, but soon realized it was a strange humanoid crouching across a clearing. The dark figure had powerful, muscular limbs. When a cyclist approached the area, completely unaware of it, the creature suddenly vanished into the woods, and the man didn't see it again. Unicorn discovery. A man named Robert Jones had an obsession with trying to find mythical animals. After years of searching, he finally spotted one in Grand Teton National Park, Wyoming. He found a creature that looked like a white horse with a sharp horn on its head. It was a unicorn. It was wandering in the woods all by itself. The man even looked around to find another one of its kind, but there were none. After recording proof of its existence, he left the forest. Lab specimen. After finding this unbelievable creature in the Amazon rainforest, biologists placed it in a secure lab to study it. They discovered it while studying the feeding habits of animals. Its entire body was covered in wet mud. Its appearance was completely horse-like, apart from the single horn on its head. They intended to investigate its genes and physiology to see if the horn on its head was due to a mutation, or if this was a completely different species, like a unicorn. But since it was too agitated, they had to wait for it to calm down. Gigantic roach. If you hate roaches, then this one is for you. Many years ago, a man had snuck into the Red Forest close to the Chernobyl exclusion zone in Ukraine. That's when he saw a huge, insect-like creature. To his horror, it looked exactly like a gigantic cockroach. Since Chernobyl and the surrounding area are still contaminated with radiation, he thought the exposure must have mutated a roach and caused it to grow unusually large. So he left the forest immediately out of fear. Massive wings. In June 2019, a group of tourists went to the savannah in the Serengeti National Park. They were prepared to spot lions, elephants, and zebras. And not this. In the distance, they spotted a pair of massive wings. They were confused because no known bird has wings that huge. The creature kept flaring those wings without taking off, and its body wasn't visible from that distance. If they had gotten any closer, we might have seen what it really was.
Está enorme. No puedo creerlo.
Terrifying encounter. This heart-pounding video starts with a man running in fear. He and his friend had been exploring the Khao Yai National Park in Thailand, but something made them both climb up a tree, and soon, the video revealed what had been chasing them. There was a terrifying humanoid beast in the distance. It had a dark body, and to their horror, it kept waiting for them to come down. The friends tried scaring it away with a stick, but that didn't work. They eventually called for help, but before anyone could arrive, the beast vanished into the woods. Mythical carcass. In 2023, a wildlife enthusiast had gone to the Tambopata National Reserve in the Amazon for its diverse wildlife, and the forest turned out far more diverse than he expected. He came across a strange, pale carcass on the wet soil. Its limbs almost looked like flippers, and it had a long, narrow neck, but he didn't get close enough to see its head. It didn't resemble any animal he had seen before. Later, when he uploaded it, some viewers said it looked like Champ, a mythical water-dwelling creature. Mysterious beast. A hiker took the Badlands Trail in the Miami Whitewater Forest and made the most shocking discovery. He saw a mysterious tall creature walking among the woods. It had dark fur, broad shoulders, and was walking like a humanoid. However, it was not a bear or an ape, because neither have ever been spotted on this Badlands Trail. He tried to stay hidden as it kept looking around as if searching for prey. Luckily, it didn't pick up his scent and eventually walked away. Creepy rake. In 2016, a man from Newark, Delaware was walking through the woods near his neighborhood. That's when he began hearing strange hissing noises coming from an abandoned well. He thought it was an animal in distress, but oh boy, he was so wrong. The man found a pair of glowing eyes staring at him, and it didn't belong to an ordinary creature. It had a pale and narrow face, like a rake. The sight scared him so much that he ran away. Cryptid chase. In 2017, a man named Joseph William was exploring the Ocala National Forest to see some deers, but it ended up as a terrifying chase. A huge black creature charged him from the woods. It looked like a juvenile Bigfoot and behaved like one too. He began running for his life, and the creature kept running on all fours, locking on him as a prey. You might think that it was over for him, but against all odds, he managed to outrun it. Griffin sighting. Earlier in the video, we showed you a griffin that a man found in Wasatch Cache National Forest, Utah. Well, guess what? Another person spotted the same species in San Bernardino National Forest, California. It had the same beaked mouth, feline claws, and bird-like wings. This griffin had its wings folded at its sides. The camera person was lucky that, despite its sharp sense of smell, the griffin didn't detect them. Otherwise, things would have turned dangerous. Strange spider beast. The Akahara Forest in Japan already has a dark reputation for strange sightings, but nothing comes close to this one. An explorer had found this creature in a tree. It had massive, furry, spider-like limbs, and its face was way creepier. Its skin was pale and fleshy, and it was weaving a huge web in the tree. The man recorded the grotesque creature from all angles and left. Mischievous creature. This video might convince you that duendes exist. A farmer from Real de Catorce, Mexico, had found this creature in his fields and managed to capture it.
Nadie me creyó, pero aquí está, mírenlo bien. Todito me costó, pero ya es mío. Respira, se mueve.
It was small, with pale skin, rough hair, and was wearing dirty clothes. It looked just like a duende, and behaved like one too, because duendes are believed to be mischievous, and it had been damaging the man's crops. However, he has not shared what he did with the catch. Strange stalker. After a researcher's trail camera captured this image in the Allegheny National Forest, Pennsylvania, he began searching for the creature. The next evening, he finally found it peeking from a tree. Its face was narrow and creepy, with glowing eyes. It was the most horrifying creature he'd ever seen. Later that night, wherever he went, the creature followed him. Despite wanting to learn more about it, he was too freaked out to stay any longer. Dark figure. In 2015, a man staying at a resort in Leavenworth, Washington, was recording the snowfall. But then, something mysterious showed up on camera too. It was a dark entity that was walking upright like a person, but it didn't really look like one. It seemed to have dark fur and a hunched posture. The being walked away, and when the man showed it to the resort's authorities, they tried to search for it, but couldn't track it down. Have you seen this before? Tasmanian devils. This man had the creepiest encounter in the Monongahela National Forest, West Virginia. When he was camping at night, a group of animals came out of the woods and began shrieking at him. Their behavior was predatory.
Yeah. Little goblins. Look at you. Whoa! Whoa!
These dark creatures with white stripes look just like Tasmanian devils, which are nocturnal animals native to Tasmania. These animals don't exist anywhere outside Tasmania, and they never hunt humans.
They're out there.
Which meant these were something else in disguise. Since the man didn't show any signs of fear, the creatures left him alone. Fairy sighting. You won't believe what a man in Asheville, North Carolina, found inside a park. He noticed a winged creature that looked too big to be a regular insect. Turns out, it had a humanoid form. The creature had dark human-like limbs, white hair, and 2 pairs of wings like a fairy. When he tried to capture it, the fairy kept thrashing around to break free. He eventually managed to take it home, but realized it had gone unresponsive. When it didn't move at all, he discarded the carcass. Shocking sighting. You're about to see the clearest footage of a cryptid. A wildlife biologist was surveying the Redwood Valley Forest in California when he saw it. It had a gray, furless body, a narrow face, and unusually slender limbs. He'd never seen this creature before, despite his 10 years in this field. The creature even turned towards him, but instead of pouncing, it walked away. It looked just like a chupacabra. Hunting gone wrong. Nearly a decade ago, a hunter had gone 15 miles south of Laramie, Wyoming, but instead of regular animals, he encountered something mysterious. A dark creature was walking in the distance. Although the video isn't very clear, we can still make out a humanoid shape.
I didn't think Bigfoot was in Wyoming.
No wild animal in that area is supposed to look or walk like that. At first, the man debated whether to hunt it or stay away. Then his survival instincts kicked in, and he kept his distance. Wolf or not? In 2018, while a family was headed to Green Mountain National Forest, Vermont, they saw a wolf-like creature on the roadside. It had light-colored fur and was standing on its hind legs. As they got closer, it turned toward them with eyes that glowed like tiny bulbs. They knew this wasn't an ordinary wolf, because wolves don't stand upright like a humanoid, and all wolves were wiped out from Vermont in the late 1800s, so they quickly drove past it. Strange creature. Some locals in Kampong, Malaysia, found one of the creepiest creatures crouching on the riverbank. It was pale and had the most bizarre head ever. It was flat, smooth, with no facial features at all. They didn't even know how it had appeared on that riverbank, which made them more curious about its origin. No one dared to get close to it, as the creature played around with the water, and just before sunset, it went away on its own and was never seen again. What do you think it was? Grotesque tortoise. Now what the heck is that? A man came across this creature in the Davidson River Campground, western North Carolina, while looking for a spot to camp. It seemed to have a shell like a tortoise, but the rest of it was really grotesque. Its head was really strange, and it was walking like a humanoid. There are no known species of shelled creatures that walk on 2 legs. It freaked him out so much that he camped somewhere far away. Mysterious dark creature. On the 17th of August, 2015, a content creator was searching for a view in the Massanutten Ridge Trail, Virginia. That's when he noticed a dark creature in the woods. As he was recording, the creature stood up like a humanoid. The sight terrified him so much that the man began running immediately.
Cool. Let's go.
He didn't want to find out if it was a Bigfoot or just a dressed-up person trying to scare people. He was still running for his life when the video ended abruptly. Scary entity. The Pine Barrens in New Jersey already have a bad reputation for creepy sightings, and 5 years ago, one curious man went to confirm that. He found a creepy white humanoid staring at him from behind the trees. It kept peeking at him, and its eyes were glowing brightly. Its posture was really strange, and he didn't get too close because of how scary it was, and he was lucky the entity decided to keep its distance, or else it would have ended badly for him. Golem Rising. Hiking comes with strange surprises, and this video is proof. This man was in Rocky Mountain National Park, Colorado, when he saw movement in the distance. To his shock, a massive rocky figure was rising, built completely from rocks and soil. It looked exactly like the mythical creature, Golem. He kept his distance and followed it. The huge being wandered around as if it was searching for something, but he eventually lost track of it and never found out what it was looking for. Strange Stalker. Late one night in the Tallgrass Prairie National Preserve, Kansas, a man found this creature stalking him. It didn't behave like a bear or an ape. Its movements were really suspicious, as it was crouching on its humanoid low to avoid being seen. Its face was even creepier because it didn't resemble any known wild animal. It was slowly inching closer to him, which made the man run in the opposite direction with fear. Winged Creature. This video shows a man holding a glass container with the most unbelievable creature inside. He'd been exploring the Amazon rainforest in Brazil with his team when he found this winged creature. The tiny humanoid had gray skin and 2 pairs of delicate wings. The creature kept shrieking creepily as it struggled to find its way out. The man had even placed some ferns and soil in the container to make the creature comfortable, but that didn't work. It was so agitated that he had to free it eventually. Devil Humanoid. No one on the internet knows what this entity is. A man in Houston, Texas, had been driving to his farm when he saw a humanoid figure running in the distance. The figure was tall, dark, and the creepiest part was the horns on its head. It also seemed to have a tail and was holding something in its hand. The man would have believed it was a person in a costume if it hadn't been running so fast. It was able to keep pace with his car, and humans can't run that fast. When a man in Santo Antonio da Platina, Paraná, Brazil, heard stray dogs barking at night and checked outside, he saw this huge beast surrounded by them. It was definitely not a wolf, since the only wolves in Brazil are maned wolves, which look like this. Its eyes were glowing instead of just reflecting light, which made it even more disturbing. The creature left after 2 hours, and the next night, a CCTV camera near his home captured it again, this time standing up like a humanoid. Now, he's too scared to even step outside at night. Creepy Black Dog. When this strange, dark creature just showed up over a house in Medellin, Colombia, people were terrified. It didn't look like a bear or an ape. It had fur on its upper body, while its limbs were long and slender. It moved very fast, crawling out of sight just as quickly as it had appeared. Since people there believe in many legends, they thought it was the Black Dog of Death, a creature whose sudden appearance is seen as a bad omen. Faceless Intruder. Each night in October 2022, a man's dogs would start barking. Since they were usually calm, he found it strange and installed cameras, which revealed the terrifying reason. A pale humanoid was trying to sneak into the house over the fence. It was slender like a rake and seemed to have no facial features. When it couldn't get past that side, it tried entering from another direction. It actually made its way inside, but suddenly stopped, as if sensing something, and then vanished into smoke. It hasn't returned since then. Roof Crawler.
Look on the roof. What is that?
Earlier this year, residents in Detroit, Michigan were filled with fear when this strange creature showed up in their neighborhood. It was a small gray being that was seen scaling someone's roof. The woman who recorded it was scared witless because it didn't look like any known animal. The very next day, it crawled onto another roof, and this time a man recorded it close up. Its face looked terrifying, its claws were sharp, and it let out a disturbing screech. The creature moved incredibly fast, which is why it still hasn't been caught.
No way, that's real.
Creepy, hairless creature. On the 4th of January this year, in Spokane, Washington, a man's backyard security camera captured one of the most terrifying creatures. It was small, hairless, with slender limbs and glowing eyes. Its movements were fast and unnatural. The next night, he saw it again going through a trash can near a nearby building, but as soon as it noticed him, it ran away.
No.
He alerted the authorities, and soon people in the area were searching for it. Days later, someone hearing strange noises in a laundromat had a terrifying encounter. The creature suddenly burst out of a machine to flee, and it still hasn't been contained.
Hello? No.
Strange transformation. The following videos will make you think twice before stepping out after dark. A man in Edinburgh, Scotland, was out for a stroll at night when he saw a strange, dark figure. It looked like something had dropped down onto all fours and was in the middle of a transformation. It stayed in that position throughout the entire video. And guess what? I found another video in which a woman had a similar encounter. Just like the previous one, this figure was also bent low, with its head hanging down and twitching. What do you think these are? Shape-shifting creature. Last year in April, a security camera in Da Nang, Vietnam recorded one of the strangest creatures behind an old building. Its body shape looked completely unusual. It had thin, spindly legs, a long, sharp tail, and an oddly shaped head. What made it even creepier was how it kept shifting its form. It seemed like an otherworldly creature trying to disguise itself as a stray animal, but the camera caught its true form. Then, it jumped up the wall and disappeared. Yeti chase. The following video was retrieved from a very old camera somewhere in Alaska. It shows a massive creature walking in front of a house. With its thick fur and broad, powerful build, it looked just like a Yeti. As the cameraman tried to record it quietly, the creature slowly turned and looked straight at him. That alone was enough to make him panic and run. The Yeti began chasing him, and the footage cut off before revealing how the chase ended. If this was real, imagine the horror he must have felt. Christmas visitor.
On the roof?
After putting up Christmas decorations in their house, a family in Duluth, Minnesota got the most terrifying visitor ever. From their window, they saw a strange creature on the roof. It looked like a humanoid goat figure wearing dark red robes. The creature carried a bag and dragged heavy chains across the roof. The family didn't even want to imagine what those chains were for. Then, it looked directly at them. The family stepped back, and when they looked again, it had vanished.
Oh my god, it looked over here.
Not a dog. Now this might be one of the creepiest encounters ever. A man in Sacramento, California had been walking home when he saw this creature. It looked like a dog, but something about it felt very wrong. It was frozen in an unsettling posture, and its expression was even more disturbing. To make it worse, it was making strange meowing sounds. And dogs don't meow, do they? It suddenly charged at him, and he was lucky to escape. He believed it was a skinwalker disguised as a dog to lure people in. Crouching entity.
I'm like a diamond in the most awarded minivan of the year.
In York, England, a family was driving home when they noticed something dark crouching in the distance. The driver slowed down because the sight looked extremely disturbing. It appeared to be a humanoid creature, and to their horror, it was digging into the ground. It wasn't clear whether it was digging something up or burying something, but they didn't stay long enough to find out.
Well, minivan.
Stalking skinwalker. Last month, a TikTok user from Burlington, Vermont, shared an unsettling video, saying that a deer was stalking her. The video shows it standing still in the dark and staring with its eyes glowing. This moment was already creepy, but the next day, she shared this video. This time, it was a goat standing right outside her door and kept staring right at her, making no attempt to leave. Since random animals don't just follow people around, the TikToker thought a skinwalker was disguising itself as different animals to target her. Now, let's wait for updates. Terrifying visitor. 5 years ago in Pueblo, Colorado, the sudden appearance of a strange creature terrified residents. It was a dark gray, four-legged animal. For an entire week, it appeared on people's roofs at night, moving with a very strange gait, and people would stay inside out of fear. Despite multiple complaints, wildlife authorities were never able to capture it because it was too elusive. Then, just as suddenly as it appeared, it stopped coming back. To this day, no one knows if it was a mutated dog or something far more mysterious. Winged horror.
Yes, sir.
These boys in Lugo, Spain had been playing near an old shed by the forest, but something ruined their playtime. They heard crowing from above the shed, and instead of a crow, they found this huge, dark creature. It was nearly as big as a person, and had a humanoid shape. Its wings were massive, and when it spread them wide, it let out a terrifying call through its beaked mouth. Then, it shot off into the sky, leaving the boys confused and terrified. Coffee thief. A man in a village in Somerset, England, had left his half-finished cup of coffee on the table, but when he came back to get it, something else had come for it too. In the doorway, there was a small, strange creature. It looked like a goblin in tattered clothes. It seemed drawn by the smell of the drink, but was too short to reach it. When the creature realized it was being watched, it quickly ran away from wherever it had come from. Dog or mutation? You need to see what this off-duty officer named Walter Leguizamon saw in Jose C. Paz, Argentina. He was driving at around 3 a.m. when he spotted a four-legged creature on the road. From a distance, it looked like a dog, but its face appeared much stranger up close. Its snout was oddly flat, and it had pale, unsettling markings across its face. In the video description, he also mentioned that its face looked more human than canine. The officer eventually drove far, far away from it. Faceless stalker. While a man in Santa Fe, New Mexico was out for a walk, he came across the most bizarre sight. At first, he thought a strange cat was frozen in place, but a closer look revealed that it wasn't a cat at all. It was a pale, hairless creature that didn't even have a face. He believed it could be a skinwalker trying to disguise itself as an animal, so after recording it, he left without drawing its attention. Chupacabra sighting? This security camera footage is going viral right now. It recorded a really strange creature in Jacksonville, Florida, around 11 p.m. in March 2021. It was dark and hairless, and looked nothing like a dog. The creature kept wandering near the house, as if searching for food. And guess what? Last year, someone in Pueblo, Colorado, also saw a similar dark, hairless creature near the stairs of his home.
Oh, what is that?
It even seemed to be feeding. Now viewers are divided on whether it's a chupacabra or just a hairless raccoon. What do you think? Forest stalker.
Oh my god, it's right there and it's above me and it's tall.
The owner of the YouTube channel Dee's Dark Adventure is known for exploring terrifying forests, and this was by far her most frightening experience. She had gone to Pisgah National Forest in North Carolina when she noticed a pair of glowing eyes following her everywhere.
Oh my God, it's right there and it's above me and it's tall.
It didn't behave like any wild animal, so she kept her distance. Later that night, while staying at a nearby resort, she saw the same eyes staring at her from the trees with clear predatory intent. It had clearly followed her there. That was enough to terrify her, and she packed her bags and left immediately.
Oh my God, okay. Hi.
Slimy entity. In March 2026, a 35-year-old woman named Olga Maria came across a bizarre creature. She was walking past Superaki in Chilpancingo, Mexico, when she saw it crouching near a wall. It was a grotesque, black, slimy creature with no visible facial features. It didn't look like anything from this planet. After recording it, she ran away so it wouldn't come after her. By the next morning, it was gone. Creepy deer. In Derbyshire, England, a man named Phil Williams filmed an unsettling sight from his window. Right after midnight, a deer appeared on the street, but something was very wrong about it. It stood up on its hind legs and began moving in a very strange way. Deer can usually stand like that, but usually when they are feeding from trees or scanning their surroundings, just like you see here. But this one was doing neither of those things. So could it have been a skinwalker in disguise? Terrifying grab. Nothing will prepare you for this one. In Asheville, North Carolina, a man can be seen walking toward a fence in his backyard. It was broken, and he thought a wild animal was responsible. As he got closer, ready to face whatever did it, an unbelievably long arm suddenly reached through the gap. It went straight for him. The arm belonged to an unnatural creature wearing human clothes, as if it was part of a disguise. You might think it was over for him, but somehow, the man managed to escape in time. Subway dweller. This urban exploration went extremely wrong for these people in New York City. 3 years ago, they were exploring an abandoned subway. It was dark, creepy, and covered in unsettling graffiti. But something else was living there too. They started hearing screeching noises. And then, this pale, four-legged creature rushed out of the darkness. It was moving at an unnatural speed, but since it ran right past them, they realized it might be blind and relied on other senses. That gave them the chance to escape. Creepy creature. Late one night in Knoxville, Tennessee, a man's dog suddenly went on high alert. It kept staring into a narrow, dark area. When the man went to check, he saw a pair of glowing eyes in the darkness. Terrified, he took his dog back inside, and moments later, the creature stepped out. It was pale and grotesque, and moved at an unnatural speed. It rushed forward and climbed up his wall. It must have gone up the roof and gotten away because he couldn't find it again. Pool rake. Each night, a man in Tampa, Florida, would hear splashing sounds coming from his backyard pool. He installed a security camera to find out what was behind it, and it captured a pale, rake-like creature peering over the wall. It looked ready to leap into the yard, but for some reason, it didn't. The creature slowly disappeared behind the wall, and it hasn't returned since. But the man still checks his cameras every night before going to sleep. Mysterious dark creature.
Hey, do you see that?
You need to watch this old video very carefully. A man in Dover, Delaware was taking his dog to the nearby woods for a walk and ended up spotting a dark creature in the distance. After noticing them, it suddenly stood up and began walking like a humanoid, which meant it was no ordinary wolf or dog. The man didn't get close enough to identify it and went back home. Nearly a year later, he saw it again in those woods. This time, he waited for it to step into the clearing, but it stayed hidden and eventually walked away. Humanoid visitor. In August 2017, a man named Richard Grebenik had to make an emergency police call, and the reason was terrifying. A pale humanoid had appeared in his backyard at night. It lingered there as if waiting for him to step outside, but the man didn't make that mistake, and he even told the police that the humanoid had visited him before. He was terrified and asked officers to come to his aid, but before they could arrive, the humanoid left on its own. To his relief, it did not reappear. Backyard rake. A man in Akron, Ohio, kept hearing terrifying noises in his backyard. He was too scared to step outside and check, so he turned off the lights to see through the window, and that's when he noticed something pale moving in the center. Distance. It must have sensed him watching, because it suddenly crawled toward him at an unnatural speed. It looked humanoid, just like a rake. The man quickly stepped back, and, to his relief, the creature didn't try to break through the window. Lucifer in cemetery? This CCTV footage is from a cemetery in Toledo, Spain, and it shows a strange, creepy humanoid behind one of the headstones. It was tall, with pointed ears and long, sharp horns curved backward. It's not clear what the entity was doing there, but it seemed to be making strange hand gestures. Now viewers think it might be Lucifer himself. Road creature. Now this is the last thing you would want to see in traffic. In 2018, a terrifying creature appeared out of nowhere on a road in Salem, Oregon. Its legs were oddly shaped, and it had two long tails behind it. Drivers stopped and waited for it to cross. Later that same night, a resident living about a mile away saw it crawling down his street. Before anyone could alert the authorities, it vanished and was never seen again. Trapped beast. This video was uploaded nearly 2 months ago, and it shows a large, wolf-like beast with pale, matted fur and visible red patches. It was thrashing inside the confined space, searching for a way out. Its size and behavior were both terrifying, and it almost looked like some strange mutation. When it couldn't find an exit, it began howling. Now I couldn't get any information on where it was found or who captured it, so if anyone knows it, let me know in the comments below. Mysterious CCTV creature. One night in 2014, a homeowner's backyard security camera captured a very mysterious creature. It had glowing eyes and kept making strange noises. They feared a wild animal had come too close to their home and installed another camera. Just 3 nights later, it captured the creature up close. The creature was too large to be a stray dog, and there had never been any reports of wolves in that area, so they believed it could be a dogman. Sewer monster.
Dude. Oh.
This video was uploaded on the YouTube channel Connor Does Adventure. One night, when Connor and his friend were out, they came across an old sewer. You won't believe what they saw next. Something was crawling on the grate. It was a huge, pale humanoid, far from any ordinary animal, and that sewer may have been its home. Not wanting to get caught by it, they quickly ran away from the area. Beastly Watcher. I need your thoughts on this one. A man in Orlando, Florida noticed a mysterious movement outside his window in the middle of the night. It looked like a dark creature peeking inside. Though not very clear, its fur seemed as black as the night, and its form appeared wolf-like. But to his horror, there are no wolves native to Florida. Here's the creepiest part. This window was on the 2nd floor, which means whatever it was had to be extremely tall. He was relieved when it finally went away. So, what do you think it was? Mysterious creature. A few feet away from a man's home, there was an abandoned place. One day, he went there to see if he could make use of it, but what he found instead horrified him. A strange creature with dark fur was crouching there. It was neither a dog nor a wolf. It stayed low to the ground, staring right at him. He could easily tell this was no ordinary animal, and that it lived there. Not wanting to risk anything, he quietly left the place. Bizarre owl. Now what the is that? A farmer in San Juan, Parangaricutiro, Mexico, found this winged creature in a corner of his barn. It looked like a creepier version of an owl. The creature kept its head low, and when it noticed him, it began moving its head in very unsettling ways. No owls behave like that. It also puffed up its wings as if trying to scare him or warn him to stay away, which worked because he didn't go any closer. Later that day, it flew away on its own. Rat anomaly. On the 17th of October, 2022, a property surveyor was inspecting an old building in New York. That's when he found a strange creature in the corner of a damp basement. It looked like an anomaly. Its face resembled a rat, complete with whiskers, but the rest of its body didn't match. Its gray fur was wet and covered in faint striped patterns. It had webbed feet, but only on its hind legs, while its front limbs had tiny claw-like fingers. No known species is supposed to look like that, so he decided to leave it alone. Alien creature.
What do you want?
A man was staying at an Airbnb close to a forest, and that place was the wrong choice. He started sensing movement outside the house and decided to check. In the distance, he saw a strange creature peeking from the bushes. It had gray skin, an alien-like head, and its eyes were glowing in the dark. When he decided to confront it, the creature slowly walked away, and if you ask me, he was incredibly lucky that it did.
Why are you walking away?
Garuda sighting. In August 2023, the most unbelievable being appeared in Mumbai, India. It was a humanoid standing on top of a building. It had massive wings and seemed to be wearing a strange, pointed headpiece. As people crowded the streets to record it, the being spread its wings and flew away. People were shocked because it looked like Garuda, a divine entity from Hindu mythology. This happened only 2 days before Garuda Panchami, a religious festival that honors Garuda. Backyard gnome. In 2013, a homeowner grew worried when something kept knocking over their flower pots in their backyard. One day, they found out what was behind it. A small, unusual creature was hiding inside one of the pots. When the person got closer, it rushed out and ran straight toward a hollow in a nearby tree to hide. It looked just like a gnome carrying a small tool, with a heavy beard and shaggy clothes. The video doesn't reveal if they were able to catch it. Rake encounter. In July 2018, a man was driving through a rural area near his home in Elkins, West Virginia, when a pale creature suddenly crawled out in front of him. It had crawled out from the shrubs and didn't look like anything he had seen before. It crossed the road using its pale, slender limbs and went out of view. A few days later, it showed up again on a trail camera he had set up near his house for security. He believed it had followed his scent and feared it might return. Mysterious dwarf. In Seville, Spain, a surveillance camera captured one of the creepiest figures seen on the street. A small, dwarf-like creature appeared out of nowhere and began clawing at a picture on the wall, tearing it into pieces. That picture had been placed there to invite people to a spiritual gathering, so it's really odd how the creature targeted only that. This couldn't be a coincidence. It looked around with glowing eyes, as if searching for something else, then simply left the area. Village beast. In Brazil, in Fortaleza, September 2016, a security camera in a village captured a mysterious dark creature. It was a dark, furred, four-legged being much larger than an ordinary dog, and its face looked deeply unsettling. 3 days later, the same creature appeared in one man's backyard. He had been hearing noises at night and went to check, and his flashlight revealed its grotesque face covered in long fur. It was far too disturbing to look at. After a few seconds, the creature vanished into the trees and went into hiding.
Chama a polícia, chama a polícia. Ele tá arrebentando o portão. Santo, que é esse bicho?
Last year in July, for an entire week, this creature kept returning to a neighborhood in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Each night, residents locked themselves inside to feel safe. It was a tall, humanoid, furry beast that looked like a werewolf. Each time it returned, the werewolf would try to break into houses forcefully by ripping the doors into shreds. When it couldn't get in, one night it even jumped onto a house, and the roof crumbled under the force of its powerful claws. People called wildlife authorities, but it would always get away before they could arrive. After a week, it suddenly stopped coming, but the residents still live in fear.